Where the reality, I'm not feeling sunk cost fallacy. I'm just feeling disgust and salty over the fact that this coin toss didn't go the way I wanted, because I had as much chance to win as to lose, and it ended up losing, and that just tilts the f out of a man. So yeah, I think all in all, one might say that the 50-50 system is actually even less of a predatory practice than non-50-50 system. Shocking, right? Gacha as a genre, one must admit that it's making quite the big bucks. All right, we must admit it. Considering the live service model, how PlayStation, especially recently, have been really trying to capitalize on the live service model, which makes total sense business-wise. I mean, if I sell a product and I can squeeze more out of it, if not squeeze more out of it than the initial selling of the product, why the hell wouldn't I? It just makes total sense if I'm the one doing the selling. But of course, if you're on the receiving end, it's not necessarily the best. Depending on who you ask, some people don't mind live service gaming, especially the more you like a game, the more you want more out of it, the more you're willing to spend on it. But I feel like that's not the norm. That's just very, very unique to a particular type of players that are not necessarily the majority, and therefore makes this a very hard general consensus to sell. But gachas have managed to survive this long because people know exactly what to expect when they hear a gacha game, which is not necessarily the case for your average AAA, average gamer, normal experience within the video game space. That's just the reality of it. Gacha is a subsection of the gaming sphere that apparently seems to be racking up millions of dollars, and I'm pretty sure investors are paying attention to that. However, we don't see a lot of games as we would expect, considering how much money they're making. And I think the reason why is very simple. Either it's the gray area in which they operate and it's a bubble that may burst, considering how investors might look at it from a business standpoint, or maybe, just maybe, that has already been established. It's a market that's not necessarily growing anymore. And also, maybe players are being fatigued. Maybe there's a bit of burnout over there in the gacha space, where people are tired of having to deal with these predatory practices, or at least to the extent in which they are being done now. I feel like something that has really changed how we can perceive the mental of the gacha community as a whole is definitely the advent of NTE, and more specifically the non-50-50 system, 100% guaranteeing the weapon, although it's still tricky for some reason. But I feel like you can really stock up on a lot of pulls for the weapons in the game, so it kind of balances itself out in a way. But I still prefer if it were a little simpler. I can do single pulls, because you can only do 10 pulls in that weapon banner. And also, of course, keep things the way we know them a bit. That would be nice. That would be nice. But again, it's fine. It's easy to navigate. But I do feel like the one thing that has really shaken things up is the lack of 50-50, plus the change in rates of the earlies. I think it's higher in NTE, still low, all things considered, but it's slightly higher than the other existing ones that are applying the Hoyo formula, which this matters a lot, because the more you play these games and the more you interact with the system, the higher the chances of you getting earlies as time goes on. This is why this percentage matters so much, because ultimately these games don't want you necessarily playing them for a couple of weeks. They want you to play them for a couple of months, if not a couple of years. And the more you move with time, that small percentages makes a huge difference. And NTE has been received with open arms with these changes, and you can tell that how NTE was received well with open arms, but it wasn't necessarily the case for a game that's now coming up soon, Silver Palace, that is applying a gacha system that is based on one that a lot of players are tired of. So maybe the players are not necessarily tired of the gacha as a genre or the predatory practices as a whole, but rather tired of the extent, the degree in which the companies are applying the already existing, well, formula that has put gacha on the map, which is through Genshin Impact. Because we keep going round and round and round, but we never can forget what got most of us here in the space, myself included, Genshin Impact. Not everybody, but a lot of us. Genshin Impact was the gateway to gacha for many, and we must admit so. Now, there is a bit of fatigue, though. We're not gonna lie. I feel like if you're an average gamer and you want that average gamer experience, it's very hard to get that in the gacha space. And if you are in the gacha space, I think there's a bit of fatigue, and that what it seemed to be the case for good old Gacha. And he's saying that with a video titled "The End of a Gacha Era is Near." Players are tired, boss. And I'm noticing in the thumbnail, Genshin Impact, Withering Waves, Honkai Star Rail, AKE, Star Savior, if I'm not mistaken, and I do not recognize the last one. I think all of them have, yeah, they have 50-50 systems. Maybe this is why. But he is talking about the gacha era as a whole. I think he's talking about gacha as a concept. So I'm really, really curious on what exactly we're talking about here. So without further ado, again, we have 4-star Smack reacting to 5-star Smack. Let's get active. If you enjoyed this type of content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to not miss any updates.
I guess I better go subscribe to VXV Gacha.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching what I would like to believe is the end of an era. And I want to talk to you today about this. I think it's a very fascinating topic to delve into. And it's
well, the only era I feel like it's ending is the 50-50 one. The norm, the standard that has been set with Genshin Impact in terms of predatory practice, I feel like that is coming to an end. It's the beginning of the end, as we've seen through NTE. Anime, I feel like now the gacha games are now even bigger. And they're going to have an anime that go with them to make the lore and everything even better. So I feel like, yeah, it's a bit of an end of an era of slopping it up in gacha. Yeah, because there was a little bit of slopping, but I feel like the fun's over. Considering the competition, and now the companies are feeling the fire from under them, and they're starting to take action. I'm all for it. I think that's probably the end of the era that I can, for one, considering the data I have, is just the end, the end of the era of slopping it up to the extent they were doing.
Perfect and ripe for the particular season we're in with gacha gaming. If you are like me, and I'm pretty sure you are, many of you are, you weren't a gacha addict before Genshin Impact, and you weren't even a gacha player before Genshin Impact. That was the first game you got.
Yeah, there it is. He's saying it too. Yeah, he's saying it too. So me and Smack are in a similar boat. Genshin was the gateway for many of us, myself included. It's just what propulsed gacha to the mainstream and made it what it is today. That's just a fact. Like, we can hate on Genshin as much as you want. Ultimately, I'm about to ruffle some feathers with this line, but it just has to be said. Genshin is the GOAT. Genshin is the GOAT. We wouldn't have met if it wasn't for Genshin. Genshin is the GOAT. We may not like their dev practices, but in terms of what it has achieved, it is the GOAT. It got us together, man. It got us to look at stuff like Withering Waves now. NTE, we have all these games that we interacted with because Genshin Impact introduced us to the space. So thank you, Genshin.
I'm speaking facts.
The game was so monumentally massive because of the pandemic, and that it was also a fresh game in the space, that it brought in a heaping amount of players outside of the gacha space. Normies, people from different...
And COVID as well played a massive part there too.
And the good thing about that experience when it happened is that was also the very first time a lot of people got to play a gacha game. And talk all the shit you will about gacha games, there are some very fun aspects about them. And those fun aspects...
fucking based. Because a lot of average gamers like to dismiss gacha games. It's like, why, it's a gacha game. Yeah, and there are good things. Like, have you played Withering Waves? When even seasoned gamers like Asmongold are gonna look at them and go, well, shit, this is a fantastic game. He's gonna play NTE. He's gonna be like, hey, this is a good game. They're good games. Fundamentally, they're good games. Even Genshin Impact, I dare say, is a good game. If you are to remove the live service model from them, they're good experiences. Yeah, you can have a problem with them if you are interacting with the live service model every single day. That's a different conversation. But at face value, these are damn good games, in my opinion.
Were overwhelmingly positive for a fresh experience, right? We had our V cards like basically cracked with this game. And so the hype, the FOMO,
I feel like that was a cherry we enjoyed getting popped. Pause.
Oohs and ahs. You know, when you play a gacha game at launch, its climax,
oh man,
is incredibly powerful.
Yes.
So when you play a gacha game for the first time, it's infinitely more powerful than you would think.
Yes.
But basically this happened and people fell in love with these games, and it allowed them to basically have kind of like a tunnel vision for ignoring the predatory practices, the alarming problems of what comes with playing a gacha game. And you were able to get away with these garbage practices as a developer because there also wasn't any other games to compare, to reference in the mainstream space, especially to noobs who don't know anything about gacha games.
Even if you weren't a noob and you could recognize that at the time, Genshin Impact was on the table, pulled out its candy box, opened it, and was like, this may not taste the best, but I know it is the best out here. Y'all are gonna eat it. And ate it we did. We ate the devil's fruit, for we had no choice, as it was the best at the time. But times have changed. There's competition now. This competition is also applying and getting an anime and everything. Like there's a race. It's happening before our eyes, and I'm all for it, man. Yeah, things are changing now. Them days gone, man. When Genshin, because here's the thing: what's sad about Genshin Impact? It still feels like somehow, somewhere, when it comes to the dev practices in terms of qualities of life in the game, that they still are applying some of that mindset. Like it's not completely gone. They are aware there's competition. They are doing something, but it's just about enough to just say they're kind of reacting to the competition, but not really, because well, they're still the titan of the gacha space. Well, except maybe they had Love and Deep Space, but that got ruined by crazy, or for lack of better terms, lost individuals. Because I respect the ladies. Okay, I'm a gentleman like that.
You were able to get away with this, basically. But then what happens? Time starts to go by, and these issues start to become more apparent and alarming, and players start complaining, and they start looking for another game in that respective niche to play.
Yeah. Also, the problem creates opportunity for different companies to look at that and go, we can capitalize on the success of this billions of dollars success. We can capitalize on it by offering solutions to what the developer over there is not giving to their player base, which was the inception of Wuthering Waves and now NTE and even more games that are be coming out in the future. That's exactly what's happening.
Because
and we're all for it.
It's not oversaturated. It's not a fragmentation at the point in time, right? So then Honkai Star Rail comes out, and that becomes the next cope for playing a gacha game that isn't Genshin Impact. That's going to be better. It's going to be different. But then you realize
they give you the 10 pulls every patch. Oh man, Genshin could never. Doctor Ratio, Genshin could never. But the bar was set so low, man, that even now we look at that and go, not enough. That's not even nearly enough.
Playing two gacha games now that both have 50-50 systems, right? So that same
based, true. Yep. Oh, well, hold on, Smack Arena. Hey now, babe. You got a 75-25 in the weapon banner, though. Well, that's an improvement.
wallet is now having to spend just a little bit more money, even if they aren't spending as much money on one individual game. You combine what they're spending on two games, and it's increasing. And everybody has a budget. Everybody only has so much money that they can spend on one individual gacha game, let alone two, 3, or 4. So what happens is the space has to increase in volume and popularity, because if it doesn't, well, then you just have the same players spending the same money from their wallets. That's only going to carry you so far, right? And so what happens after this?
New blood.
Wuthering Waves comes out. The real Genshin killer. At least that's what they were being marketed as, whether they want it to or not. More players start playing that.
Nothing can kill Genshin but Genshin Impact. Yes. There is no Genshin killer. This is the Genshin competitor / Genshin capitalizer. Yep, I said it. That's right, I said it. And we all know it. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Wuthering Waves isn't pulling up to capitalize on the success of Genshin Impact, because where were y'all before Genshin Impact, Kuro Games? You were doing Punishing Grey Raven. That wasn't no open world game. You could have done that at the start. What about you, NTE? Tower Fantasy was a direct response to Genshin Impact. You tried to slop it up so fast to capitalize on that hype. And now there's NTE. Like, come on. We know what's happening. You saw the trend. It's the same as YouTube videos. You see how a big YouTube video happens? It's trendy. You start to see a lot more videos popping up that are of similar titles, similar thematics. It's the same thing. Like you see it every day. You see it around you all the time. You see a popular business in an area. All of a sudden, you start to see a lot more businesses opening up in that area. That's not a coincidence. They are capitalizing on something. And that's just the nature of business and the nature of the market. Whether we like it or not, these games are businesses in a market, and we are the consumer.
Game. Some of them leave Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail to play this game. Some of them stay there. Others start playing 3 different gacha games at once. But regardless,
I feel like that's the best approach for me personally. Like 3 gachas is good. I like 3 gachas. It's like it's the perfect middle ground for me.
Of players aren't coming into the space the way they did when the pandemic announced Genshin Impact.
Yes.
It's kind of just the same players circulating around and trying different gacha games. Well,
therefore, gacha games start basically cannibalizing each other because they're basically eating away at the player base that they are trying all to just have for themselves. Because it's like, also, I think there's something called choice paralysis. The more gachas you're gonna have, the more choices you're gonna have, the more you can be like, oh snap, I don't know what to choose. Because it's a known thing, by the way. It's a psychological thing. Hold on, we can look at it together. It's the feeling of being unable to decide when you have too many options. It leads to stress, wasted time, and doing nothing at all. The main causes are having too many choices, wanting absolute perfection, and fearing a bad outcome. And this happens, of course, because there are multiple options, a crap load of options, where you're like, I picked this one. Well, maybe it's that one that has it. Now, the beauty of gacha games, considering their live service model, is you can safely play multiples. You can safely play multiples. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that a lot of us are not going to move away from Genshin or Wuthering Waves the moment better quality titles start popping off, / they have a more better live service model / a better, less predatory gacha model. Like, that's going to happen. Like, of course it's going to happen. We are not loyal to these games unless we're sponsored.
Particular dynamic and pathing continues to happen, but it speeds up rapidly as we know it. We know how the story goes. More and more gacha games start coming out. You got Chaos Zero Nightmare. You got Love in Deep Space. You've got Arknight's Infield. You got Neverness.
I love what Love in Deep Space did. Love in Deep Space was like, you know what? Y'all can have them ninjas. I'm going after where the real money is. Because we know it. We know it. Hey, we all know it. What is the biggest demographic for spenders between men and women? Women represent the largest overall demographic for consumer spending, controlling or influencing roughly 70 to 85% of all purchasing decisions. However, spending patterns differ on whether you measure the total household influence, individual transaction size, and category. Women drive up to 85% of total consumer spending, making one the dominant overall force in retail, grocery, and household goods. Well, apparently that has since extended to gacha games, huh? Hey, you cannot outperform the girls, boys. You will not outperform the girls at something they excel at. You will not outperform them. Them girls will spend more than you. Them girls will go in debt to spend for their gacha baddies. That's right. And the reason why I'm saying this is because it's based on facts. I have seen girls go in debt to buy the new iPhone, to get the newest bag. They don't give a damn. Like, girls are easily influenceable through consumer mentality. Girls love to consume. That's why they're the biggest target demographic for advertisers. And not only that, whole brands are based just on women for the reason that women are the biggest consumers, not necessarily for their own good. Because it's just, selling to women is just smart business, as you can see through the stats.
All of these gacha games start coming out, but a lot of them are still doing 50-50 systems. Chaos Zero Nightmare did the 50-50 system. Girls Frontline 2 Exilium did it. You've got Uma Musume. Really? You've got Star Savior, which aren't even 50-50s. They might even be worse because you can keep pulling until you just hopefully get the character.
Damn, that's bad.
But one thing that's for certain is the gacha space as a whole is not actually expanding. And if it is, it isn't enough to compensate for that fragmentation and oversaturation of rapid gacha games releasing with these 50-50 systems.
He does mention good titles, but I feel like the success of certain titles matters tremendously in conversations like these. For me personally, that's just my take. I try to check out Star Savior and stuff like that, but I feel like personally, considering my recognition of gacha games, you just pick yours. You keep looking for an additional one, maybe. That's why I'm at 2 right now. I want to pick back up Honkai Star Rail, but I'm still somewhat uncertain in playing it every single day. I didn't get to my daily roster. So I'm looking for something that could be a slightly better, which might just be a new release or something like that. I don't know. But I feel like as soon as you picked your targets, which I feel like most of us already have, new gachas basically, especially ones that aren't necessarily offering something big and impactful to the space that has a lot of people talking, they're just there to capitalize on the already existing one, and that's it. And I feel like a lot of players recognize this, and that's why we kind of distance ourselves from those gacha games. You can still dabble on them a little bit on release. Those always fun. You have a lot of free pulls too. You nourish that gambling addict in you, you know what I'm saying? But beyond that, I feel like maybe this is just because I've been in this space for a long time, hence why I keep saying this. Maybe this could be a very biased limited outlook based on my perspective of what I've seen on this space, and people that are in this space are obviously more knowledgeable than someone who's not necessarily the case. So maybe I'm just talking out of my ass on this one, considering what I just said, but that's just what I've observed. But for the uninitiated, Smack's point lands the best, for sure, for the uninitiated. But I feel like for the initiated, as considering how things are right now, I don't think we have reached that level of oversaturation yet, for me personally. But from what I've observed, from what I've seen, but I could be wrong. I could be way off on this one, and I would not be surprised that if I was. Let me know in the comments.
And so what's one thing we learned as time goes by? I remember in the beginning, I tried to tell people so much about these predatory practices and how much money you're actually spending on these games is ludicrous, that these companies are making too much money, and it was falling on so many deaf ears. But you speed up today, and people now understand that phenomenon, that problem, over glaring. It's a glaring problem.
Yes.
Because they're starting to play all these different gacha games. Some of them are trying to manage multiples at once,
Yes.
and they're spending so much money. Why? One of the reasons, because of the 50-50 system. Losing
Yes.
it means spending a lot more money than you're comfortable with spending.
And not only that, it's because of luck. It wasn't something you did. It's just poor luck. Oh, sorry. I don't like that. It sucks, especially if you're a free-to-play player. Here's the thing. He's trying to talk about spenders, and obviously I feel like that's a very important demographic to talk about. But I feel like these games are majorly categorically governed by free-to-play players, considering they are free-to-play games, quote unquote. They advertise themselves as such, and therefore they attract a lot of free-to-play players. And free-to-play players are just burned the hell out of grinding, skipping, doing all kinds of sacrifices to finally not getting enough pulls in a patch to finally get to gold, and only for that effort to go bye-bye as an attempt to get them to spend, which was not necessarily what was advertised the first time they saw the game as a free-to-play, and also having a lot of resources since they just started playing the game, and now there's scarcity to it to make them spend. Players are tired of that stuff. That's what I feel like the true fatigue is in. That's where the majority of the fatigue is coming from. But I see what Smack is saying here 100%. As a non-spender, I can't necessarily relate to what he's saying here. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm not tired of the 50-50 system. I have been one in the front lines against this system, hence why I have endorsed NTE, hence why a lot of people called me the NTE guy, misunderstanding that it's not about NTE. It's about the fact of that we finally have something that should be encouraged, because it is encouraging a change that we should want to see in every already existing gacha in this space, because we're just tired and fatigued and burnt the hell out of that particular system, which is the 50-50 system. We're just tired. We're tired, boss. We're just tired.
And nobody wants to feel like they lost trying to acquire a character.
Yes.
Spending money to acquire a character in and of itself is a fool's errand. It's foolish, but it's also a part of the gacha culture. And that's
Yes.
a battle I gave up on a long time ago. However, if you could choose to have a 50-50 system or not have a 50-50 system, most would say F the 50-50 system.
Yes.
Well, now we're living in a gacha space where developers are competing for your time and your money because the gacha space isn't increasing in volume enough to overcompensate for oversaturation.
Music to my ears. I think we're just listening to music right now, ladies and gentlemen. We are listening to music.
And fragmentation. And when those two variables compound on top of each other, now you get a very competitive market where the future gacha games now have to give you better incentives, better monetary incentives and practices for free-to-play friendly games and dynamics, so that you want to try their game and potentially leave the game you're playing, or try to squeeze in their game with the game you're playing. And here lies the problem. Here lies the of an error.
That doesn't sound like a problem to me, though. That doesn't sound like a problem to me, though. It definitely sounds like a problem to them, though.
Because this is becoming a over-glaring problem for developers and publishers, they now are forced naturally to make their games way more accessible and free-to-play friendly than the ones you're currently playing.
Like what we've seen with Wuthering Waves, seeing that Genshin is doing a problem. For example, the weapon banner. Oh, we've seen this creator, this bold creator called Tectone, pulling for this weapon and lost multiple times. And these guys are very upset at this. You know what we're going to do? we're gonna make the solution even better than the solution they've applied. So they made it like 75-25, and you have to lose 2 50-50s to get it. Well, you know what? 100%. You don't even think about that. Oh, snap! Oh my god! They complaining about they can't skip cutscenes over here, boss. We're gonna give him a skip button. Oh, snapperino! They're complaining that this game isn't challenging enough. We're gonna give him challenges. Oh my god! That's it. NTE looking at this right now. Yeah, yo, boss. People are complaining that the 50-50 system in characters is destroying this, making players feel burnt out and everything. We're gonna get rid of the 50-50 system in the character banners. Oh snap! That's just it. Like it's all a response to something already happening within the market that these companies are trying to capitalize on. That's a fact. We keep going back to it. This is the origin of all the phenomena you see in all the behaviors you see, more specifically, of these companies. It all comes down to that.
And this is where things get interesting, because the first game to really make that power move was Neverness to Everness, not a PvP, and that's very important, because Epic 7 and Summoner's War and Etheria Restart, people will try and say those games have guaranteed no 50-50s. But that doesn't matter because they're PvP. And if they didn't make their game a guaranteed rate up, people would just quit them, because who the hell wants to play a PvP game where you're gambling on getting characters that are meta? Nobody wants to do that. Not in a PvP game. But when a single player game comes along and says, we're doing no 50-50, we're not doing it, we're giving up on that, we'll get it.
And most importantly, the pull ratio is better in terms of getting earlies. And also, more importantly, you get enough pulls to guarantee yourself at least a single character per patch. I feel like that is vital. That is just vital. It's oh my god, it's so important. I don't think people are stressing that enough.
Get our bag by various means such as cosmetics and such, but we are done with the 50-50 system. That is a huge power move by that particular developer that's also going to ripple and affect future gacha games and pre-existing gacha games.
Well, see, that's tough because unfortunately Neverness to Everness didn't get that success in terms of popularity, and that's why games like Silver Palace aren't necessarily doing the same. See, that's kind of the issue here. Hence why I've been supporting Neverness to Everness, because if I'm supporting Neverness to Everness, I'm basically supporting every single gacha game out there in making the changes I want as a player in the entirety of the space. That's just smart. Like NTE is basically a means to an end for all of us. It's basically this anti-hero that if we were to back could change everything for us.
And it's the first step to going in the right direction, truly, especially when you consider fragmentation and oversaturation, right? Now, we're in a space where when a game starts to drop, the first thing people question is there a 50-50 system? People have become so overly sensitive to the 50-50 system that they won't even touch the game if it's a 50-50. If it's officially confirmed 50-50, oh, not playing it.
Yeah, a lot of people will be detracted by that, and worse even, hence why a lot of people have been hating on the Arcanized Enfield system and now Silver Palace system, is no pity carrying over. Hence why a lot of people are not only hating on the Arcanized Enfield system and now the Silver Palace one, but also saying that it's a step backwards in how the space should be evolving. Yeah. That's hence why a lot of people are not taking kindly. Oh, well, just do it better. No, I don't want to have to care about that stuff. I should have the freedom to just do things, especially if someone uninitiated is doing that stuff. They're not reading all those conditions. It's like, just let them. Like the less penalizing a system is, the better consumers are going to be happy with it. It's really not that hard. And we should not encourage or try to give excuses to penalizing systems. Like, we can tolerate some bullcrap. Yeah, sure, whatever. But penalizing me for just not reading God knows all those numbers and stuff. Like, I ain't doing all that. Like, don't penalize me for that stuff, for interacting with the system that you want me to interact with. You have the exclamation point and everything on it. God damn.
Some people right now are jumping to conclusions on rumors, and it's not even confirmed yet by the devs of Silver Palace if there actually is a 50-50 or if it's Arknight's Infill, whatever. But people are so sensitive to it. Like, nope, I'm out. And I think this was the natural path.
So basically, this is a response to the sentiment a lot of players have been showing with Silver Palace. And I've seen people talk about NTE ruined Silver Palace. But I don't know, because I feel like Silver Palace still isn't out yet. And until it's out, we're gonna have to have that huge, big conversation of whether or not we want to continue playing it for a couple of months or a couple of years, or is it going to be a couple of weeks? Because considering, yes, what we see right now in the beta, Silver Palace is a game we're going to play for a couple of weeks. That's just a fact. The moment we run out of pools, I'm out, and we all know it. But they can still salvage. If devs listen, I feel like we're in for one hell of a ride, and I'm all for it. I want it to happen for Silver Palace to be the third game I add to my roster. I like open world games. I don't have open world fatigue or anything like that. I'm all for adding it to my roster. It's a fantastic looking game, but I need the gacha system to go hand in hand with that. If not, that's a strong detractor, just as everybody is saying in this space. And that's a fair criticism. And considering, here's the thing. If we are to just shut up and accept and navigate Silver Palace's gacha the way it is, it's sending the wrong signal that as long as quality is there, they can get away with predatory practices that way, which isn't necessarily what I want to encourage. I can deal with like for example, Withering Waves, like recently a lot of optimization talk about the game. I can tolerate optimization issues and wait a little longer to log into the game. That's not really a big deal. It's fine. I can tolerate it because it's quality. I know that as soon as I log in, that I'm like, it was worth it. It's kind of like waiting for the chef to cook, right? Waiting for the chef takes a longer time, and you keep smelling, and you're like, I want to eat so bad right now, but you wait. But the reason why you wait is because you know that it's worth the wait. So I'm all for, that's fun. I can give the devs a bit of a pass. Still would like them to fix it though, but I could give them a bit of a pass. Gacha predatory practices, though, not necessarily the case, because we all know what they're doing with that, and that's something I do. That's just anti-consumer, and that's just a line to me. No, thank you, no. And this is why I feel like this is a very important conversation to have, for us to have a strong pushback to send the message that them days gone, boy. Them days gone. This is the days of stuff like NTE, and this is the type of stuff we want to see in the space. And we're tired of that. We're tired of that, boss.
I think of what has transpired in the gacha space, right? But getting back to NTE, the best thing that people can do by saying you don't want a 50-50 is support games with no 50-50s in the space. This,
what they say, great minds think alike. Yeah. Like 4-star, like 5-star.
is very common logic. It's not like you need a rocket science degree to understand this phenomenon.
I know.
If you doom post NTE, well then
you're just an NTE lover. Yeah. You're trash talking Withering Waves now because NTE has no 50-50 system. No. I think we should remove the 50-50 system. That's all I'm saying. And I think we can all agree on that. No, you're just this tribalistic douchebag. Holy projection? Holy projecting? What?
You're also telling the developers.
And it'll be the same ninjas that later start having the same complaints as I did. But it's funny, isn't it? Where when you're trying to push a narrative, you're all for behaving one way, but when the trend and the conversation in the space is more favored towards stuff I've already said before that you were combative against, you will have no shame than to follow up attack with them, huh? Because that's just the trend. That's just what you do, huh? Grifting is at an all-time high in the space. I'm not gonna lie.
Future gacha game developers, we don't care if you even put no 50-50 in your game, we're still going to doom post it. So why would I remove my 50-50? I mean, NTE did it, they still hated on the game. Let's just go proceed with the 50-50 because they're playing Wuthering Waves, they're playing Arknight's Infill, they're playing Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zenless on Zero. All those games have 50-50s and they're making a heaping amount of money off of these guys. So clearly, getting rid of the 50-50 isn't the issue. You see where I'm going? Silver Palace is another game coming into the mainstream space and all eyes are on its gacha system. This is good. This is wonderful. Because what y'all are going to do is you're going to compare it to Neverness to Everness.
Yep.
That's what you should do.
Because it's the most recent title. That's why.
You compare it to the best market contender in the mainstream space. And that's Neverness to Everness for a free-to-play, consumer-friendly experience. By doing that, you are now forcing another mainstream space game to have to confine to that principle because if they don't, it's going to be a massive market capture loss. And on top of that, just recently,
music to my ears.
Facing Collider Rider, another upcoming gacha game that's not PvP, that's important, just announced no 50-50.
Oh yeah, the race game. True. And they have this black girl.
And they're adding limited banners into the standard banner upon their banners expiring.
Oh, snap. They're having that old formula. Because that some gachas applied that actually. As soon as a limited banner ends, they just throw it in the standard. It's kind of like Tower of Fantasy. I think Tower of Fantasy used to do that.
This is, again, in the right direction. Another game people need to support. It's important you support these games because that's
Yes.
how you tell future developers, we
Yes.
don't want 50-50.
And already existing developers. Therefore, you are fixing the games you already play through this. See, when I play Wuthering Waves and NTE, and I'm supportive to NTE, I am passively supporting Wuthering Waves as well, because Wuthering Waves can look at me and go, well, clearly this player, our player, is enjoying that. Maybe we should give that to him before he starts getting burnt out from what we're doing here and go all the way there. Because obviously we don't have him pinned down no more because of the new competitor in the space.
In our games. But them on top of NTE doing this, not only is it going to put pressure on future gacha games, it's going to, it's important you support these games because that's how you tell future developers, we don't want 50-50s in our games. But them on top of NTE doing this, not only is it going to put pressure on future gacha games, it's going to put pressure on pre-existing gacha games too.
My man!
Because what's going to happen is people who are playing these current gacha games are going to go, hey, hold on now. Why aren't you guys doing this? Why couldn't y'all have added these limited characters into the standard banner? Why do you still have to do this 50-50?
So are you telling me we were being cheated on all this time? You guys were cheating us and we were just tolerating this shit? So like if you wanted to get rid of it, you could have just got rid of it? Oh, man. I'd be pissed at first, but then I'll be like, you know what? It's fine. Now at least it's good.
Making plenty of money. This is an overall net positive for the gacha space. And this is why I said this is potentially entering the end of an era, and that era is the 50-50 era. Now, do I think that Wuthering Waves and Hoyoverse and current pre-existing market captures are going to die upon all of this happening? No, but it is going to take away and trickle away from their audience. There's going to be a lot of players that
that's the whole point,
because they're loyal and they have sunk cost fallacy and they just love the game so much, and that's okay. But there's going to be players who are playing and they're like, you know what, I'm out, man. These other games are just way more free-to-play friendly, way more accessible. And as I said before, I only have so much money in my wallet. I only have so much time for free time.
That's also very important too. I forgot about that. True. We also just have enough time for just a few of them. It's like Pokemon. You can only carry with you 6 Pokemon. I'm gonna have to choose.
Time for playing video games. And me trying to keep up with this very expensive game where a big part of my enjoyment is character collection, it's too expensive. I can't afford it. Yes. Why would I spend $150 to just acquire a character absent of their weapon when I can go to this game over here and spend $75 and get the character and the weapon?
It's like, duh. And also when you consider the quality of them being so close, it's like, damn. The only thing keeping Wuthering Waves in my roster is because it is still unparalleled in terms of a gaming experience right now within the gacha space. That's the only reason why. But in terms of gacha and everything, bro, I am tired. Especially how they did us in the Cyberpunk collab. Oh man, I'm tired, boss. I'm tired. And now we have characters that go hand in hand together, like Yang Yang and Soy Soy. They're just doing it like first half you need the character, the DPS, and the second half is the sub DPS to the character you already got, and especially one that's very nostalgic and very nostalgia bait that obviously people like me are gonna pull for. Oh man, like I've never felt so tight in resources until now, man. Oh man, like getting the sisters now, Jesus Christ. And it is this way because of the 50-50 system. Because I'm like halfway there, and I'm pretty sure if I keep grinding, if I do the events and everything, I'm pretty sure I can get to gold. But herein lies the issue. I am not excited for Soy Soy because of this, and I will feel that the game isn't necessarily rewarding me my fanboyism because of the 50-50 system. I have to still win a coin toss. I cannot even guarantee it for myself as free-to-play plus. I get the monthly pass. So now I have to look into spending. Because Soy Soy, if she leaves, I cannot take full advantage of Yang Yang now. I cannot have the short-term value that Yang Yang offers, like every other DPS offers on release, around their release date. I can wait for a rerun because I know that's what a lot of you guys might say to that. But I'm not taking full advantage of the Yang Yang already pulled because of that. So by the time Soy Soy reruns, which might take some time, Yang Yang might have gotten power crept. You see what I'm saying? Or maybe Soy Soy would find a different home then. Therefore, making my pull for Yang Yang feel punitive. Like it punishes me for getting Yang Yang. And I couldn't get Soy Soy because of a 50-50 system. God forbid. Now, we're still not there yet. We could still just get her early, win the 50-50 because we're him. But that's a distant proposition. And that's not going to be the majority experience for people like myself. So, yeah, it's like the more you think about it, it's just anxiety inducing, nuisance, annoying, doesn't allow me to fully immerse myself in enjoying the game. And obviously it's done by design, because in order I can easily fix this problem by throwing money at it, and that's the whole point. But I see what you're trying to do, and I'm not willing to do that because of the very advertising you have done to get me through the door, and more specifically because of a system that you have applied that is a coin toss that gets in the way of me getting that enjoyment. It's super annoying. It's super annoying. Just get rid of it. Crying out loud. Besides streamers losing their 50-50s on stream so that you can wajaja at them, this system offers no entertainment value whatsoever in the space. Whatsoever. Everybody would be happy just for it to be completely 100% gone.
You see what I'm saying? It's very common sense. At the end of the day, I think we are naturally going in that direction, but it's important that the consumer remains conscious of these games and the monetary incentives that they're doing. I think it's great that people scrutinize Silver Palace. And
I feel like we are paying a lot of attention to that because we understand that it is probably as important of a factor as the gameplay loop as you are continuing to participate in the live service model of these games. We understand its importance because getting characters is what allows the game to feel really refreshed for you as a player as you play their live service model. Because a new patch, or like a big patch, a big new region, it's fine if you skip. It's totally fine. You have a lot of stuff to do. You don't need a character to feel that spark within the game. But if there is no new region, you kind of want the character to feel that spark. And therein lies the issue.
Future games, in terms of whether they're doing 50-50s, so on and so forth. This is not to say that a 50-50 system cannot work anymore. I do understand how resource acquisition.
Just do them in the copies. If I were to get an E1, you can keep it there. I feel like a good middle ground that a lot of people would appreciate still. Like we would be more tolerant to that. Because again, you have to think about the fact that it's the majority are free-to-plays. The E0 owners, the non-signature weapon owners of characters, those are the majority in these games. You just find somewhere to them in the middle and everybody will be happy.
Works. And there's games with 50-50, like Chaos Zero Nightmare. I haven't played it in a while, but it was a game with a 50-50 system, but you were pretty much able to gather every character because of how much resources they were giving you on a patch-to-patch basis. I understand that phenomenon, but at the end of the day, guys, a 50-50 system feels like shit when you lose, and it often helps the house make more money. That's just the reality of it, and that's
not necessarily actually from what we've seen. People aren't even spending if they know there's a chance they are going to lose. However, a lot of people are more inclined to spend if they know they can immediately guarantee what they want. Think about this for a second. Will you be more inclined to spend after, because this is why the 50-50 exists. So you lose the 50-50. They're like, well, tough luck. You know you can just guarantee yourself now if you were to spend money to reach a guarantee, right? And get the character you were trying to get. So you are more inclined to spend. However, if the 50-50 system doesn't even exist, you can, by default, start taking into consideration that option. You're like, okay, I have 20 pulls. If I spend like 30, 40 bucks, I can get the character. And then a glider while I'm at it, because NTE is like that. Okay, sure. It's been a good month. I'll treat myself to that. Why the hell not? But if I have a 50-50 awaiting for me, I'm not even gonna look at that because that's it. I'm priced out. I'm completely priced out. And when you consider free-to-play players are players that look for something to play for free, because let's just say, especially in this economy, like it's very hard to spend on virtual goods. It's like, bro, we're just priced out. Like if you want to encourage those players to spend, you have to meet them somewhere in the middle. And I feel like that is the best middle. Because that is, in my opinion, more enticing for a free-to-play or a free-to-play plus like myself to want to spend than losing a 50-50. And only then am I incentivized to spend through sunk cost fallacy. Where the reality, I'm not feeling sunk cost fallacy. I'm just feeling disgust and salty over the fact that this coin toss didn't go the way I wanted. Because I had as much chance to win as to lose. and it ended up losing, and that just tilts the F out of a man. So yeah, I think all in all, one might say that the 50-50 system is actually even less of a predatory practice than non-50-50 system. Shocking, right?
Why they do it. The house wins, and when it comes to gambling, all the time. That's going to be the topic of this video for today. You guys comment down below. Let me know what you think. Silver Palace Beta is going to be dropping later on today, and we'll be able to have our definitive, proof of its gacha system. So we'll see what goes on with that. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys on the flip side.
And so yeah, there it is, man. I love Smack's videos. It's always refreshing to look at them, and especially in topics like this. That's my stuff. So yeah, I think surprisingly, believe it or not, the 50-50 system is not only an obsolete system that people are burnt out of, but also it is something that companies can take even more advantage of if they were to have the right approach. And just treating your players better can sometimes make them feel more inclined to support your product. Believe it or not, shocking, right? So yeah, that's gonna be my thoughts. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. Be seeing you.